I mean, thanks for sharing this. I see you on social media a lot. I love your posts, and I see with your family a lot. It's a beautiful thing. You did mention how you know you take care of those kids, and I mean, you even train with a not newborn any longer, but uh, the smallest in the family. He's connected to
Yeah.
your bike train, right? He's in the back there enjoying it.
Uh,
It's a,
yeah. Lincoln, who he's going to be turning 1 in a couple weeks. My wife, she's a runner, cyclist, so pretty much once she got cleared, he started off running and running stroller. And then back in July, we got he weighed enough and had enough strength in his neck, he could start riding in a pull behind stroller. And ever since then, he gets about 100 and 150 miles a week. And
yeah.
he's even gone up a big Category 3 climb. Just today on our route, we hit a Category 4 climb. I mean, he gets around. He sees a lot. And I was joking with Adam Ashwell, who I know we're mutual friends with. And Time Station 30, everybody knows Adam.
Yeah.
When we were down at Sebring, and he was asking me what it's like to pull Lincoln, my son, around, I'm like, I have never, and it's the truth, I have never been this strong. Just
Yeah.
because that constant wind resistance of that
Yeah.
trailer, I am riding stronger than when I did Rame. I mean, it's amazing. So
Well,
he not only is he enjoying his rides, but it's making me stronger.
yeah. Once you disconnect the trailer, you fly. And
Oh, I feel like a machine.
yeah,
So
I can imagine. So Lincoln, watch out for Lincoln, right? The seed has been planted. There's no.
oh yeah, yeah. I wanna. I joke with him all the time. I'm like, yep. Once you get old enough, I'm retiring. I'm taking over as a coach and a bike fitter and your crew chief, and then you can come out here and do this.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, well, it seems like we started ultra cycling around the same time period. It was 2016 for me. And you mentioned how
Huh?
well you were accepted. And I mean, I can relate, within a year, the very first year, second year, I'm right next to these guys that I'm reading in the newspapers about and watching on TV or, Ram. It's just so unbelievable how accepting they are. They're willing to help you, to share the experience. What do you think brings us so together? What is this togetherness about? Is it because we know how much we suffer to get where we're heading, or what do you think?
Well, yeah, and I try to tell people I don't race my fellow competitor. I mean, yeah, you're essentially racing, but
Yeah,
like if me and you did a 24-hour time trial, it's not like, oh, I got to beat Georgie. It's we're gonna be on the bike suffering for 24 hours. You are not my enemy. The time and the distance, that is my enemy, and the elements. Because it can be hot, it can be cold, it can be snowing, it can be, and yeah, at the end of it, it's we're all suffering together, and we want to see each other succeed. And you're dead on. I mean, Marco has been so helpful for me, and Michael Conte, and all these great athletes. They're willing to help each other, you know, do the best we can, and it's awesome. I love it.
yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Well, and then this is what I heard from Sebring this year. There were a few posts where people commented how Joe was just so happy when he sees anyone on the course and just giving them words of encouragement, and he's just smiling. When some people suffer, they're not always smiling, but from what I hear, Joe is always smiling. But it's what you love doing, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm playing bikes, and uh, one thing in the military that I learned is like pain and suffering. You see the person's, most people put up masks. So when someone's in pain or suffering. It shows their real personality. And yeah, you know, I'm out here, been on this bike for 18 hours, and there's people or fans and spectators, they're waving and still cheering me on. Of course, I'm going to be grateful. Like, you know, thank you guys for still trying to help push me along. I mean, I was very appreciative of it because, well, you know what it's like. It's 20 hours and everything starts to hurt, and
Yep.
you know, you have somebody along the side of the road cheer you on. Of course, you're going to be, hey, you know, thanks for the encouragement. I really need that. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Sebring has been good to me. I did it twice. Didn't do it this year because I have other commitments and plans for the year. But this was the first time I hit 400 in 24 hours. So how do you like Sebring? Let's talk about it. This was your first or second time?
this was my first time, and I have the ambitious goal of I really want to hit 500 miles. You know, it's just as things evolved, I've done RAM, and we're not going to be able to do RAM for another couple years. So what's the best goal to try to chase down, or a feasible goal financially and training wise? And that's to chase down 500. Everyone told me to target Sebring. And yeah, I mean, Sebring is definitely one of the most successful race courses to do it on. And I'll be honest, up until, well, let me backtrack. This year they had a little hiccup, and instead of the last 12 hours, we getting kicked to the actual race car track.
Yeah.
We got kicked to like a little service road that's behind the track.
Mm-hmm.
And you would go out 1.5 miles, 1.6 miles, basically make a 180-degree turn, and then you come back 186-degree turn, and it was like a 5K course just out and back. And I knew it was going to be problematic. Every rider knew, because on the racetrack, wide open turns, never have to hit the brakes, never have to shed speed. Out and back course, I mean, basically every 5 to 6 minutes, I was doing 180 degrees turn. And yeah, it was the nighttime. So the first 12 hours, like I said, that first 100-mile out and back, I mean, I was right up there with Marco. Actually, right before the turnaround point, it started getting in my head because, you know, Marco is one of the best. So in my head, I'm like, oh man, I got to stay close to him. That'll help me drive the pace. And then it dawned on me, you know, I'm like, oh wait, because of the course change, Marco had actually dropped from the 24-hour race, which a lot of riders did.
Yeah.
I think there was well over a dozen riders that they're just like, I'm not going to do the same 5K for 12 hours.
Yeah.
So a lot of them had dropped down to the 12 hours. So then it dawned on me, I'm like, oh man, like I'm out here for another 22 hours. Marco's out here for another 10. So I dropped back and I shed some speed. And then Eric, my God, I'm going to butcher his last name.
So Eric Newsholm? Butcher it too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Me and him pretty much stayed side by side, neck to neck, went back and forth a couple times to the 100 miles. And I think we covered the first 100 miles. I think my wife said like in 4 hours and 22 minutes. I mean, we rocked it. We did well. The 11-mile loop, I went out and I actually, you know how it is. What's the use of covering 250 miles in 10 hours if you can't make it the rest of the race? So I throttled back a little bit and just tried to maintain like a 21.5 mile per hour speed, which put me well over the mark to hit the 500. And I sustained it well, was feeling great. I think at the 12-hour mark, my wife said I was at 264 miles, which was well above the power curve for the 500, but then once we got kicked to the 5K,
Things change.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's basically like you're doing intervals for 12 hours because, you know, you'd go into the U-turn, you'd have to shed speed down to like 12 miles an hour and then come out of the corner and ramp back up to 20, 22 miles an hour. And it just, after 5 hours of that, you could look at my data on Strava, you just see me drop off. But
Yeah.
it wasn't just me. I mean, Alberto Blanco was there, Eric, Sarah Cooper,
Well,
Chris,
yep.
Chris O'Keefe. I mean, there are several riders there that could potentially crack 500 miles, and nobody hit 500 this year. I think the closest
on it, right? Sorry. Last name
Oh
Deska.
no, go right ahead.
Yeah. No, I was saying also the local rider from Florida was there in the same group. The guy who finished first. What is
Yeah,
his- Brandon Deska.
yeah. He had the best mileage. I mean, he threw up 482, and I can tell you just looking at his data on Strava, he's about like the only one of the only guys that I can name that actually spends more time on a bike than I do. I mean, he was just a tremendous athlete, and yeah, I mean, it was just a rough race course, and potentially, I think a lot of us would have made the 500 mark if it would have been on the race car track. But I mean, you race whatever course is on hand. So
yeah, it is what it is. At the end of the day, if you let it get to you, it's probably worse. You know, it's a big part of it is mental, right? If you let it mess with your head, it might make.
Oh yeah.
You guys were close. I mean, from you were what 450, 4.3 unofficial because of the the issues with the trackers, right? This is what they have you listed at.
At one point they had me at 565. Then they had me down to 465. Then they had me at 450. I think they still have me at 4 whatever. I think Sarah Cooper, Eric, and myself were just like, you know, we had computers on our bikes. My computer data said I had 457. So yeah, they have the results all messed up. What was happening? This will give you an idea of how tight the 180 was. They had the timing strip. You'd go over the timing strip, and then right after the timing strip, you'd have to make a 180-degree turn. Well, instead of having that timing strip at like the apex of the 180, they had it over here. So what was happening is you would cross the timing station, make the 180, and as you were going back out, you would trip it again.
Wow.
So I think at one point during the race, like the live trackers, it showed that we were like in the 590 range.
Yeah.
Like
Everyone was so confused.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was sometimes we were coming through and it would pick you up twice. So, I just go. I know what I did, and on my computer it said 457, which I'm really happy with. This was also the first race that I've done a 100% liquid diet. My body reacted great to it.
Nice.
I never bonked nutrition-wise. Like I said, after 5 hours of those just 180s, my legs, I don't have that kind of interval fitness. As an ultra cyclist, we get on our bike and we just go, and that's stop and go stuff.
Yeah.
But the liquid diet worked wonderful. The crew, perfect. Radios, perfect. We had so many things go right. No mechanicals, no flats, no, like you said, I look at it as a success. I didn't hit the goal of 500, but I had so many things go right for me at that race, and I did the best I could on that course. I'm perfectly happy with it.
Yeah, as long as you give your best, and I mean, you cannot be happy considering the conditions. and
Oh yeah.
everything they changed last second. You mentioned the trackers. I also know for a fact that when we were doing the night loops on the track, they are giving us 3.7 something miles per lap. But if you take the corners, if you cut the corners essentially, and you know how to take the perfect line, it's 3.5. So I think everyone gains 7 to 10, 15 miles just because of that. I'm sure you're
No
aware.
kidding.
You guys lost
Yeah.
another 10 miles, maybe 15.
Yeah.
You know?
I knew that because Eric had told me. So uh, I don't know. I think we're gonna go out to Borrego Springs this fall, and hopefully, we're gonna run a full campaign at trying to crack 500 again. Would I ever go back to Sebring? I probably would. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a great time down there. So
Yeah. A perfect time of the year to get away from the cold. It's cold where you live. It's cold where I live. But nevertheless, I mean, congratulations. This was great performance. I mean, the top five guys, and then obviously Sarah Cooper, the first woman.
oh
She
yeah,
showed,
she was right on my
so,
heels.
I mean,
She's
wow.
tough.
And I read her report, and she's, aside from the issue she had getting to to Florida, she's still dealing with a lot of physical issues. I'm sure after Ram and everything else. So, but that was great to see you there, and I'm really happy. I can't wait to see you race again.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.